Hey everyone, it is me, Yvonne Emile Elizondo from Silver Moon Astrology and Transpersonal Counseling, and I am here with the update for this Gemini full moon that happens on Saturday, December 18th at 10:34 p.m. So that is tomorrow. I'm recording this on Friday, so this happens tomorrow. Now, I don't have my computer, so I can't show you the really cool chart that I show you, or that cool chart I think is cool. So I actually have my notes, but because I'm recording this on my phone, this is going to show up backwards, so don't pay attention to this. I will just explain what is going on. All right, so this full moon happens in Gemini. So the moon is in Gemini, which means that the opposite sign is also going to be involved, which is Sagittarius. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to also mention Venus stationing to go retrograde right along with Pluto in Capricorn. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Neptune in Pisces. We're going to talk about how Jupiter is leaving Aquarius at the end of December and transitioning into Pisces, which we're super excited for. And we're also going to focus on how Mercury is trining Uranus and how all of this plays or has a role or an influence in this full moon. So you're gonna have to bear with me because I have my notes. I don't have my chart, but I have my notes. Okay, so here we go. So this full moon happens in Gemini. So this Gemini energy is really asking you to take a look at, all of those details that maybe you're not focusing on. Okay, the sun in Sagittarius is about knowledge and wisdom and growth. And what this full moon is really asking you to do is take a look at those details that maybe you need to really incorporate into your life, or maybe you need to release into your life, because the full moon is about a release energy, right? So taking account of what's going on in your life, that list that checklist that we have, that about ourselves, about our lives, about whether we're completing our responsibilities, our activities, and so forth. This is going to be a really good time for you to do that. Now, this is a very powerful full moon because of all of the other influences that are going on, but it's also the last full moon of 2021. And so this would be a great time to take account of all of those details, not only of this full moon, but take a look at 2021 and say, where did I really, where did I get it really, really right? And maybe where did I miss the mark? And how can I improve moving on until next year? Gemini energy is about data. It's about information. It is about socialization. So connecting data and connecting with people. So anywhere in your life where you have the ability to discern, where you really stepped up, and where maybe you need to step up moving forward, as I said, is really what this full moon is asking you to do. So that's a very generalized perspective. If you want a really good in-depth understanding and insight about how this full moon is impacting your chart, please reach out to me. We can absolutely schedule an astrological consultation. You'll be surprised how much information we can get from those. But anyhow, so this Gemini full moon is probably going to feel more information, detailed oriented. It's also more of a flirty full moon, okay? It's also a little bit more of a social full moon, which would ideally be great because it's during the holiday season, so a lot of us may be getting back into that normal socialization after this whole, last 2 years of nothingness almost. So you may start to feel that energy of wanting to connect more. Now, a full moon in general is really a time where we release the energy that we took into account during the new moon 2 weeks prior. So anything that you started 2 weeks ago, you may want to take a look at and say, okay, do I have enough to push this information out there, to push the intentions out there? So that's what I would suggest this particular full moon. But the other influences with this full moon, okay, and this is where it gets a little hairy, on a really kind of grinding energy, but we also have some really good energy as well. So again, this is a really powerful full moon. It can go either way. So the other aspect that I wanted to mention is we currently have Venus stationed in Capricorn. Again, when a planet is stationed, from our perspective, it's not necessarily moving forward, which means that the energy is super strong and it's getting ready to go backwards, to go retrograde, okay? And in Capricorn, Venus likes to be have a more of a practical approach to money, to connections, to love. Okay, that Venus in Capricorn is about practicality and communicating. It's grounded, it's focused, it is determined to accomplish what it wants to accomplish. And it's different than Venus in Aries that says, I want what I want when I want it and I'm going to get it. This Venus in Capricorn is more goal oriented. It's the word I can use right now. It's about finding the practicality, finding the grounding, finding where things make sense. Venus is always looking for the applicable approach to the value of their time, of their love, of their money. And so during the holiday seasons, you may find yourself being a little bit more, in tuned with how you are managing your finances, how you are working through certain love connections and situations. But here's where it gets a little tricky, okay? So Venus actually turns retrograde on the 21st, which is Tuesday the 21st. But Venus is hanging out with Pluto. So here's Venus station and here is Pluto. So Pluto is literally on top of Venus, and as Venus has made a conjunction with Pluto earlier this month, it's stationing, it's stopping, and it's going to retrograde, and it's going to connect or make an aspect with Pluto again. And then once it stations to go direct, it's going to come back and it's going to make another hit with Pluto and then move forward. And so that when it starts to turn direct, it's not going to be until the end of January. But for December, what that means is we can expect some drama, especially relationship drama. Like Pluto is about control, it's about power, it's about really making things really intense, right? So there's this essence of wanting to control. And when we're talking about Venus represents relationships. Again, it also represents money. So there, you may find that, there's some relationships at this time that are maybe really wanting to battle for the essence of power or empowerment in a relationship. But Pluto also breaks things down. And so you may find right now, especially during the holiday season when everybody goes, to visit family and we all come back going, whoa, we love them, but we're so glad we don't live, near them. You may see this energy show up for you more. And especially if you have that Venus in Capricorn natally in your chart, like me, you may also feel that. Okay, that sense of pressure in a relationship, pressure with finances. Right now, I'm like being pressured to figure out if I'm going to purchase a new vehicle or not, and I wasn't really quite having to think about that, but I'm feeling the pressure of that. And so that's the type of energy that shows up with this Venus Pluto. You may also want to be very careful if you start a new relationship right now, okay, and it could be not only an intimate relationship, a friendship, even contractual relationship. You may really want to look at the fine details before you actually sign on the dotted line and you say, yep, this is what I want to do, which is one of the reasons why I'm also being very cautious about purchasing a vehicle right now, because I need to make sure that all of my ducks are in a row. This can manifest for you as well, okay? So just know that this energy could create overspending, okay, or a control factor in spending or relationships. So the other potential is that you fall in love all of a sudden, and then by the end of January you go, oh yeah, no, totally wrong partner. Guilty. Anyhow, so that is the second aspect that I wanted to mention. The third aspect, or actually the fourth aspect, fourth on my list, but whatever. The next aspect is this Jupiter influence in the chart, and this is where I'm really, really excited. So Jupiter is currently in transiting at the very end of Aquarius, and Jupiter in Aquarius doesn't always do very well because Aquarius is more fixed energy. It's contained. It's it's still air, but it's contained air, whereas Jupiter just wants to grow. It wants to put itself out there. It's like the knowledge seeker, the guru, the truth, implementer. And so it really likes to make things bigger. It likes to expand. And it's been having a bit of a difficult time in Aquarius because Aquarius is fixed energy. And so at the end of, I think it's the 28th, yes, it's December 28th, we have Jupiter leaving Aquarius and now spending time in Pisces, its home sign, It's going to be super strong, super comfortable, super lucky. And so one of the really nice things about 2022 that we've been looking at within the astrology is this Jupiter in Pisces for the entire year. For 12 months, Jupiter is going to be in Pisces, which means that we're going to have more ease in a lot of areas. We're going to have expansion. We're going to have growth. I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect by any means, but this placement with this Jupiter influence in there, it's definitely going to make things much more workable, much more enjoyable, much more exciting to some extent, and just the flow and the ease. But the other thing that Jupiter is doing in this full moon is that it is connecting beautifully through a trine with the moon. So we have the moon in Gemini and we have Jupiter in Aquarius. Both are air signs because Jupiter's still in Aquarius until next Tuesday. And so these two air signs are connecting beautifully. And one of the most auspicious connections in the astrology chart is Jupiter and the moon, especially in a trine. And so this full moon is something that you're being asked to take account of the details and look back and take a look at what you could release and what you did really great. But this Jupiter moon connection makes me feel like whatever you decide to enact at this full moon, to release the intentions to set out there, probably have more capacity of working in your favor. So this, don't give up, guys. If you've been having a difficult time, if you've been feeling like you're stuck and things aren't going forward, this is the full moon where you're really going to want to put those things in motion. Trust me. The other great part about this is that this Jupiter in Aquarius still is connecting beautifully through a sextile with the sun. Okay, so the sun is in Sagittarius. Oh my gosh, fire, Sagittarius, fire. Okay, and it is a masculine energy. And in Aquarius, the Jupiter in Aquarius is a masculine energy. So anything in sextile means that the polarities are going to be the same. You're going to have masculine, or feminine. That's really great. Where it gets more difficult is where you have feminine and masculine, and that's not what we're having here. So this Jupiter is also enhancing not only that sense of moon, what you put out there, how you're feeling about things, the direction that you want to go, but the energy behind that is also going to be really very much supported with this Jupiter sextiling that sun in Sagittarius, that fire sign. And that sun in Sagittarius is about moving forward. It's about growth. It's about expansion. And Jupiter's only enhancing all of that energy. So this would be a great time. Like I said, don't give up on those things that you've been meaning to, put out there into the world. It's been tough the last few years, but we're really starting to move into some really much more feasible, much more supportive type of energy. I'm not saying it's all going to be perfect, but we're starting to get there. Okay, so that was the other aspect I wanted to mention. And then I also wanted to make sure, I don't have my glasses on, so just bear with me because, Okay, so the other aspect that I wanted to mention is this Mercury is connecting, also in a trine very beautifully. Mercury in Capricorn, again, more practical, grounded thinking. It's about practical communication. You're not going to get a lot of fluff with Mercury. Mercury's communication and thinking. So right now is the time where if you wanted to have those more in-depth conversations, this would be a great time to do it because Capricorn is direct, to the point, no fluff. It's considerate. It likes to not necessarily look at the details, but look at the overall perspective, high on the mountain, looking down. Okay, so this would be a great time to do this. But any ideas, especially those ideas that spur inspiration or that are going to be out of the box ideas, are going to be excellent intentions for this full moon because Mercury in Capricorn is trining Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Again, earth energy, foundation, getting to the core of things. And Uranus likes to shake things up, comes up, it's considered the genius, right? So this is also a great time if you have plans that you've wanted to start, if you've had ideas, if you've been sitting in the background, I don't know, like artwork, okay, I'm not going to mention anybody, or writing, I'm not going to mention anybody. All right, this would be a great time to set those intentions, especially for this new upcoming year. And finally, we have Neptune in Pisces. Now, again, more Pisces energy, but Neptune in Pisces tends to do really well. However, what it's doing in the chart right now may or may not work out in our favor. So Neptune in Pisces is very spiritual. There's an artistic quality to it. There's a super hyper compassion, altruistic energy that happens, but it is squaring. It's a separating square, which means that it's not as strong, but it's still a square to this moon, full moon in Gemini, and to the sun. So Neptune is here, the moon is here, it's squaring here, here's Neptune, here's the sun, it's squaring here. So that makes me feel like we could potentially not get a really good perspective, right? Things could get foggy. We may become too idealistic. Our feelings, the emotion may feel like maybe we don't know how we're feeling about certain things, right? Maybe we are not sure how we can express ourselves because that moon and that sun, it's about, hey, this is my feelings, my perception, and here's how I'm going to express it, and they're at opposing sides. So this Neptune is where I want to be more careful about being like, woohoo, this is a great, type of energy for this full moon, because it can make things, again, not very clear. So the gist of this is the last full moon of the year. Make it count. You're being asked to take account for, what you did in 2021, how you improved, what you need to release during this full moon, whether it's release of intentions, so that stuff and materials and people and experiences come into your life, or whether it's a release because I don't need this anymore. And again, that Venus, Pluto, be cautious of overspending, be prepared for some drama, okay, relational drama. If you're aware of it, you're probably prone to be able to manage it more. And that Jupiter energy, whatever you feel like you want to enact, do it from the heart. Be inspired. Don't overthink it. Just go for it. And then that Mercury, find new, unique ways. Put that out there into the new moon. And just be cautious about being idealistic or not having enough clarity. Make sure that you do. So there it is. That's the gist of this last full moon in December. I'm excited about next year with this Jupiter in Pisces. And again, this is a wonderful time. Start the new year, have a good idea of what you don't want to do anymore, of lessons learned, and then move forward. All right, everyone, if you want to learn more about your astrology, visit me. I am at Silver Moon Astrology and Transpersonal Counseling. And everybody have a great Christmas and a happy new year. And I will see you for another astrology update here within the next 2 weeks. All right, blessed be everyone. Take care.